Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel. Today we are reviewing Couples Therapy, episode 401, which is the fourth season and the first episode. Here at this channel, we do a different type of therapeutic review. We do a different type of therapeutic review where we get a little curious. We wonder, what's happening internally for these couples and how they're showing up in this therapy room. If you are returning, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. Now, this is a shift. Before I have been reviewing Married at First Sight. Then last season happened and I said, I need to find a new show that will still focus on couples and what's happening internally for couples and still help us learn more about relationships in a way that feels authentic. And I feel like I found a great medium. You tell me, especially since couples therapy used to be on Showtime and now it is being seen on Paramount Plus and also on MTV. And so I was like, ooh, this feels like a great space. And then I saw the first two episodes of this season and I was like, oh my goodness, this is IFS. And so if you are new to my channel and want to learn about IFS, I have lovely videos on that playlist for you to explore and learn. But let's get started. So first we have our first poly couple. And the poly couple, their name is Josh, Aaron, and Lorena. And Josh and Aaron have been together for 8 years, and Josh and Lorena have been together for 2 years. Josh and Aaron met on OkCupid, and Aaron, she said she didn't know that she was poly. She just had one boyfriend that she dated over here, another boyfriend that she dated over there, and they both knew each other, and everybody was okay with that. And so when Josh came into meeting Aaron, his world was like changed. He said he almost had to rewire his brain about how he felt about and thought about relationships. Then Aaron just kind of opened him up to this new world. And she talked a little bit about that, how they were at this event. She's a circus worker. She does acrobatics, I believe. And she was with a group of people with Josh. She was like, oh my goodness, I just saw this cute guy. If we weren't here together, I would so hook up with him. And Josh was like, how could you say that to me? I'm devastated. And she said, yeah, I hear you. And you could be either frustrated about this, or we could use this attraction that I'm feeling for this man and use it for exploring our physical relationship. And he said his mind was blown, and he was like, how could I have not ever thought about things this way? And so then Josh meets Lorena on Bumble, and they completely fall in love with each other, which Lorena said she was not expecting. She had been poly for years, and she, after being single for 3 years, started to inch back into dating. Met Josh, didn't expect to meet someone so amazing, and also that understood poly, of course, credit to Aaron. And she was like, oh, you have a primary partner. Great, you won't catch feelings from me. So a part of her was hoping to be in relation with Josh, but not have any feelings connected to that. So letting us know a little bit about what protection is here already. For Lorena, that she has a part of her that's like, okay, let's block up this protection. This, I don't want to get any closer than I have to. Catching feelings, not safe, not dangerous, especially since this breakup, it had to be extremely hard for 3 years, really trying just not to be in any romantic relationships for that period of time. And she also added that, yeah, I know that's not how it works, but that's how I was wanting things to happen at the time. And so things kind of got a little wonky because Aaron decided to circus full time, which means she was on the road, she was on cruise ships, things like that. And Lorena and Josh were spending way more time together than expected. And so they were in a year in a relationship, falling really madly and deeply in love with each other. And Erin said that that's something that she was actually okay with, as the therapist was looking at her like, so tell me what your thoughts are about this. And she said, I'm grateful that Josh is able to connect with other people, as I want him to have as much connection as he needs. As while they were dating, Josh, he feared that he would not be enough for her. And Erin said, yeah, how could you? Like, how could you be enough for me? I, of course, want you to be my primary partner. And I also want to connect with other people and bring out other aspects of me with them as well. And so Erin felt like grateful that Josh and Lorena had this connection, while still wanting Josh to be her anchor partner. And so Lorena said, this kind of put her in a situation where she's like, I guess I'm the local partner. And it's so interesting that they're using the language they're using: primary partner, local partner, anchor partner. So just getting to see like how they're being viewed, depending on what's happening in the relationship. So she's like, I'm spending a lot of time with Josh, more than I thought I would. And now Josh is asking, so what do we think about is like our future together? And Lorena's caught off guard by this question. She stated because like they're in a space where she wasn't really thinking about this. She just doesn't think about the future. And so she added why. And so it's interesting. Lorena is really it seems like the only protection that we really get a really good glimpse of in this episode, because Lorena has this part of her that does not think about the future at all. As she talked about, when she was 21 to 22 years old, her mother was given 1 month to live. Any time limit to live is going to bring up our alert systems. And at the same, like 1 month feels like very, very short. Very, very short. And her mother lived 7 years. So for 7 years, Lorena was in this heightened state of, is my mom going to die? Is she going to die? When is she going to die? Is it going to be today? And so the way she protects herself from that is just not by thinking about the future, because it's too painful. It's not safe to think about the future. And so that doesn't just happen in relationship with her, the situation with her mother. That happens in any type of relationship, which is what's happening with her relationship with Josh. And so Josh is now in a state where he's like, okay, I don't know. Okay, so let's just not plan anything and longer than a week ahead. And he's feeling like, or has fear that Lorena is going to maybe disappear or vanish one day, which is like probably very similar to what Lorena was experiencing with her mother. I mean, like, okay, any day my mom's going to die. Josh is saying any day Lorena's going to leave. Okay. They're both in this state of like ambiguity around the relationship. And also Lorena's saying that she wants Erin to be a part of this conversation because, of course, Erin is a part of the relationship. And Lorena's like, I'm just the secondary partner. I'm not the primary partner. And so she's like, I don't know what they're doing. And this leaves us at a pause. So this is our first, because we usually do Married at First Sight. This is our first poly couple. And so I want us to lean in with our curiosity around this. I know there can be a lot of assumptions that people can make about poly couples. And at the same time, I want us to lean in, if possible. It's an invitation for us to lean in and learn about polyamory, and also lean in to hear about what's happening internally for this couple as we continue to see them in the season. Next we have Rex and Joey, and they have been married for 10 months. It doesn't say how long they've been together in total. Later on, we learn that their relationship had been hidden from her mother for 6 years, because her mother's a Christian, and it seems like Joey is also a Christian as well, and Rex is an atheist. And so it was a non-negotiable for Joey, for her partner, her husband, to be a Christian. And so because Rex isn't, that caused a lot of tension and turmoil in her relationship with her mother. And Joey thought that if they were to get married and move in together, things would get better. And so I don't know if this is cultural for mom to still be living with the married couple. Some collective cultures have multiple generations within a home. American culture is less likely to do that, more individualistic. And so mom was in the home, and also Rex and Joy living together, and it caused even more tension between their relationship and a lot of stress. As mom stated that she saw a vision of Rex as this bodiless black blob and he was a demon, and that she put a lot of seeds of doubt and questioning into their relationship. She stopped acknowledging Rex, and she would attack Joey verbally in Korean and not attack Rex. So the therapist, she asks, like, hey, tell me, how is this all impacting you? And he said he's not affected by it. He's not affected by it. That, well, she doesn't attack me. She just attacks my wife. And I found that to be really interesting. And sometimes it's hard when we don't know our nervous system so well, because our nervous system can really block the impact of things as we're feeling them. And then maybe we're in a space where things are more safer or we have more bandwidth. Then we start to get a download of how those things impacted us long term. Or if we become in a space where we're in a more heightened state where we may feel like more control and we can speak from a place of anger, then we start to hear like, oh, these things are really impacting me in a way that is not okay. And it feels like Rex has a nervous system that's maybe more prone to like hypoarousal, where he's like numbing his feelings, maybe in a dissociative state where his mind takes him away from things and not really aware of what's happening in his body, because there's like no way he could not be impacted by his mother-in-law calling him a demon and yelling at his wife in Korean, and he's in the house with them like that. It feels like, oh, and being a secret for 6 years, all of that, it just feels like there's absolutely no way. And so something for Rex to get curious about. And he said that he thought, because this is also a thing that I thought was very interesting, because the therapist asked Rex, so tell me your version of how this happened. And Rex responded with, we just concluded. And I said, ooh, who is we? It feels like already we're using we speech. That means that Rex is speaking for who? Him and Joey, and not feeling comfortable to speak for himself. Or does he even know what he wants? Is he just attaching to what Joey is saying and not really having an opinion or thought or feeling about it from himself? That already is letting me know, okay, you said we. So tell me more about this we that you speak of. Who is the we, and how did you conclude to this? What was this conversation like? So he said, we just concluded that because Joey had been living with her mother for 30 years and I'm the new man in the house, that she just wasn't comfortable with it. Okay. And so Joey said that she's been really confused about all of this. Okay. She's been really confused because she has this part of her, she's got this part of her that wants to align with her mother. Like, am I making a mistake? What's happening? Am I ruining my life? Or do I need to sever ties with my mother? And so notice into right, wanting to sever ties with my mother to protect my marriage. So noticing that these two choices that she has, and she feels like in the moment, which is oftentimes what it does feel like for us in the moment. And oftentimes what it does feel like in the moment is we have to do this or that. And both of the this or that are very polar opposite. And potentially, I'm imagining Joey has some actual like middle response, that there may be more choices than, am I making a mistake? Do I need to ditch my husband or do I need to ditch my mother? Like, who do I need to separate from? Or is there some other options in between? So she did decide in December of whenever this was shot, that she looked for her apartment for her mother. Her mother moved into this apartment, and she has not talked to her mother in 4 months. And now she's feeling distressed. She's feeling distressed. She's feeling heartbroken. She's saying, one, I'm not okay. Like, I'm not okay. And 4 months is not enough time for me to detach myself from this. She said this codependency, that's the word she's using, from her mother. And she doesn't want to accept that this is her life. The fact that she has to choose between these two big key people, these two big important people in her life. And so she wants to protect her marriage. And she doesn't want to regret it. She doesn't want, so she's like in this, even though she's made the decision to, right, sever the connection. Now she's at a place where this part of her that is like concerned about her relationship with her mother is like, it's up. It is up, and it's talking to her. And so it's asking big questions. It's like, is my mother right? Like, because she was so much against Rex, like, is she right? Am I making a mistake? I have doubt now in my relationship. I have doubt that's loud. And so the therapist says, hey, Rex, tell me how you're feeling about this. Rex says, unaffected. Okay. So the therapist sits here, which is a great place to sit. I'm with her. Great place to sit. She pauses and says, all right, tell me, like, what's here? He's like, well, no, I mean, I'm not affected by it. I don't feel anything. And then so the therapist asks Joey, well, how do you feel? She said, well, I want him to communicate. She said, well, no, there's a difference between communicating and being impacted by something. And this is a huge impact that's happening now. Your wife has a doubt, has a huge doubt. She's in between two. Sever mom. Who do I cut off? My mom or my husband? Okay. And so there's no way that Rex is not impacted by this. There's just no way. However, I'm sure he's got some support, again, like I named before, to numb the responses, numb the impact of this. And so Rex said that in arguments, it always feels like they're breaking up. Well, I imagine so, because we got these two choices that Joey feels like she only has these two choices. And so she's like, should I break up with you or should I not break up with you? Should I keep you or my mom? Who should I do? Which one? And he feels like he doesn't have a choice in that. He's like, it's just your way. My opinion doesn't matter. It's always your way. And he just concedes to whatever she chooses because he feels like he doesn't have a choice in this, which is a really beautiful place to continue to explore in this therapy session. And I'm hoping that they do. But tell me your thoughts about this. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I'm hoping that through this exploration, Joey will come to understand that she has more choices than severing ties with her husband or severing ties with her mom, and that also Rex has permission to have some feelings connected to all of this. He has permission to have some words about this, and I'm wondering, like, around his story, like, what made him come to the understanding or feel that he doesn't have a say about what happens in his story. We shall see. Next, we have Eliana and Mitch, and they've been together for 6 years. Okay, so Eliana starts out saying that she feels like she has a lot riding on this relationship, or just making this relationship work. She said that she feels like she's put a lot into this with her kid, and that she has a part of her that doesn't like to get things wrong, doesn't like to get it wrong. And she feels like if that's the case, then this is just another relationship that she's gotten wrong. And so, I don't know, I would be in a space where I would be wondering, ooh, what meaning is being made by that? If you get another relationship wrong, Elena, what meaning are you making by that? Because there's a part of her that's trying to prevent that from happening, because for fear that what Elena doesn't, then what Elena is a failure. Elena is destined to be single for the rest of her life. What meaning is being made if she gets another relationship wrong? That she's not meant to be in relationships. What meaning is being made? Our brain makes meaning about a lot of things, and so I would wonder what that's about. But we don't get that information. They are living separately currently. He's living with his mother, and he stays with Elena Wednesday night to Friday morning, and she feels like she's a rental wife, is what she stated. That really what I hear this part of her saying, like, he gets all the benefits of being with me. He gets the physical connection. He gets to eat the food that I cook for him. He gets to spend time with our child. And then he doesn't have to worry about daycare and drop-offs. He doesn't have to worry about the work of being a father, or being a parent, of being in this relationship. He gets the benefits, but none of the work, is what I'm hearing her name. And so when Elena is describing her frustration about that, Mitch smiles. And so the therapist is like, tell me, you're smiling. What's happening here? And so Elena said that she expressed desire to have him around full time, and Mitch also wants that as well. However, when they had a conversation about it and said, okay, this is what we're going to do, Elena said, hey, our son has a routine that they're used to, like a rhythm. So we're gonna like slowly phase in and integrate you back into the home. Great. Next day, Elena has a change of heart, has a change of mind. She said, well, I need us to be engaged if that's going to happen, saying that she needs commitment. And so how that landed on Mitch is that she's moving the goalpost for him, that he has to climb another ladder in order to be living with her and his son full time, and understandably so. And so what probably happened, I don't know what happened, but what I'm sensing happened is after they had this conversation of, oh, you're going to have to start to phase in, then a part of her was saying, so he gets to move in and no commitment. He just gets to be here with you. And then what happens to you? Right? So there's that worry about what's going to happen to you. And that's where we get this goalpost moving from Mitch's end. So then the therapist said, okay, tell me how you got here. I hear you, but tell me how did we get here? It's been 6 years. And so they both start smiling and stated that, which we really didn't get, and maybe it's edited, that there's more information that they shared, but we just got that when they decided to live together. And they said they did live together before, and they didn't get along at all. And they laughed, said, like, in retrospect, they felt like things were stupid. The arguments they had because they didn't discuss expectations, and then we see like this energy from Elena. There's like frustration of like bewilderment, like he didn't know how to clean a bathroom, and she had to work on her delivery because she would come to him like, WTF, you don't know how to clean a bathroom. And Mitch said it was awful. It was awful to him. One of the things that she said, it was like, you didn't have to clean a bathroom. How did you even, like, how did you think that the bathroom got clean? You think fairies did it for you? Like, so there was this part of her that was just like, it was carrying like this bewilderment with this like anger and sarcasm, and came at him, and it landed as an attack. Like, he felt very attacked, and he felt like, this doesn't help us win. And in order for us to win, he would prefer that Elena teach him how to clean the bathroom, and then they have a clean bathroom. And I had to watch my parts up around that, because I'm like, or you could watch a YouTube channel, a YouTube video about how to clean a bathroom too. But that, I feel like even that is speaking to like his solution to this is, having Elena teach him how to clean a bathroom. I feel like that's interesting. It's neither right nor wrong. It just is interesting and something for Mitch to get curious about, right? And to the delivery, something for Elena to get curious about, like this delivery. How does she learn this delivery? Where is this delivery coming from? What is this delivery trying to tell her? What is it trying to communicate to her? Because it's all information. And so Elena stated that one morning he woke up and he decided to go. And Mitch said, hey, now wait a second. Like, you're missing a lot of context. I didn't just leave. There's a lot of things that happened that led me to leave. Like, I felt like our relationship was a sinking ship. And me leaving was attempting to save our ship. And he stated from Elena's end that it felt like he was quitting on the relationship. And the therapist asked him, how did it feel for him to leave? How did it feel for him to leave? And I was curious about how he answered that response. There was a part of me that had an expectation that he was going to say like, "Oh, it really hurt my heart to leave. I felt so torn leaving my son. I really wanted to stay connected to him." What he did say, the words he used was that it felt like he was the captain of a ship and his crew member didn't trust him. And I feel like there's a lot to explore there because I do sense that that's probably where Elena was or even is. Like, she doesn't trust him because she's like, how I thought you could do these things and you can't, and now I know that. So like, what else don't you know how to do? I don't know what's happening in Elena's mind, but it makes sense that he feels that way because it probably is that way. And so the therapist asked about the son. She said, "Okay, I missed it. How did the son come here and into the equation?" And she said they ended up kind of hanging out, getting back into their normal rhythm. And she's like, "Okay, I'll be 30," and asked him if he was okay with having a kid. And he said it was something he was comfortable with because they were doing better in a good space for months at a time. She said it was very hard for her to conceive with her ex-husband. So that gives us a little bit more information too about this. I got a lot writing on this. This is my second, right, big relationship where I have a kid. And so she was like, potentially maybe a part of her was hoping that this would end in marriage. And then, the end. But she had this previous marriage that didn't work out and 5 miscarriages. And then this son was the 6th pregnancy. Okay, so there's a lot writing on this now, right? We're hearing that part of her that said, I have a lot writing on this and more information about what that weight of expectation is about. And Elena said, but now it doesn't feel like a partnership. It feels like she's coming home to a teenager. And Mitch smiled and said the fact that she's comparing his actions to a 15-year-old kid, she doesn't see how that's offensive. I'm sure in her anger she probably does, and I'm sure there's space outside of that. And maybe what's happening is like Elena's in her anger, like she is in it, so she doesn't in those moments see that. But he's seeing like, hey, this is really offensive. And when you love someone, you treat them with respect. And why would you want to attack the character of the person that you love? Okay. And so it kind of ends there. This is a very interesting couple. It seems like they're in really 2 different spaces. I don't know if this is his first like really big relationship. I don't get information about that. I get the sense, but I don't want to make any assumptions. That this is her like second big relationship. Her kid, she finally has her child, so it's like, ooh, this could be something. And this is with someone who is learning life skills, and she's at a space where like, I have been doing this, and this could be coming from multiple reasons, whether it's like cultural norms where how women are raised, or cisgender women are raised versus cisgender men are raised. So it's a lot of nuances here in this, and we still see too that there's some like familial ties as he's living with his mother currently. So I'm like, are you learning these skills? Like I have curiosity. Like, oh, are you learning these life skills now that you're back home with mom? Like to help you move towards this. Like, what's happening? Like, or is I'm wondering too if there's like this rebel energy. Like, oh, yes, I want to learn, but also like I'm not doing that because you're making such a big deal out of it, or because you're attacking me about it. I wonder, but we shall see. Last, we have Alexis and Casimir, and they've been together also for 6 years. And so they describe the temperature or the like forecast of their relationship as it's really peaceful. It's really peaceful. It's super great when they're not fighting, but when they do fight, it's like the walls are caving in, the bats are flying out. It's just helter skelter. Alexis stated that, it takes a pin drop, just a pin drop, and then things are really bad. And so the therapist, which was, I thought was really intuitive, I was like, I wonder how she knew that. Where I would have been inclined to go, maybe not where she went. So Orna was like, so maybe both of you are really good dissociators. And Alexa said, yeah, I dissociate quite a bit. And Casimir was like, yeah, they do. So the therapist, Orna, she asked like more, like, tell me more about their dissociation. And I noticed Alexis' affect was like there was water in their eyes, very tearful, and it almost like Alexis went into like a freeze mode. Like, I'm not safe to say anything. It doesn't feel safe to say anything. And so Casimir said it probably works best if they talk and that Alexis like jumps in to give more detail. So Casimir stated that it gets really heightened and where his conscious mind self, like his conscious self says like I can't do this anymore, and then he won't remember anything for the rest of the night. And then we see Alexis, the camera goes to Alexis' face, and again, smile, it's quiet, and it's very just like tentative. And it feels like there may even be some shame around this dissociating that is happening or has been happening in their relationship or even previously before then, because it feels like this dissociation has been around as like a faithful helper to help Alexis in really distressing things, and also around to just things that are unpleasant. So, we can check out. We can always check out. And we don't have to deal. We don't have to. So, there are times that Alexis named, there are times where they'll have a fight and then it takes them 3 months to like get back from the fight that they've had. And the biggest thing that they have fights around is the family dynamic. Alexis has chosen to cut off any communication with his family as they've been very abusive towards him, and Casimir is still connected with their family and oftentimes will defend them, and even they say like very hurtful things towards them. And this is like the main catalyst in their relationship. And so then it became a little blurry because Casimir from their view were like, hey, I see this as like we have two different perspectives of the same thing. And they use this bottle of like fizzy water in the office. There was like this blue water bottle, and it's like I see the label of the water, but you don't. Like you see the nutritional facts of it. And Alexis said, no, for me, it's like two different things. I see this water bottle as like it's about to explode, and I'm holding like the top of it, and my hands are bleeding. And so Orna was like, okay, so you feel things more intensely. You feel things like it feels like heightened risk. Like things are more at stake. It's like a life or death situation that Alexis is feeling in their body or in his body. And Casimir said that, yeah, he has like they have a higher level of distress tolerance than Alexis does. And so the therapist asks like, yeah, so how would you respond to that? Like this huge emotion and these big feelings. And then Casimir takes off their glasses, kind of puts their hand on their head and just takes a sigh, and then starts to like rub his forehead. And I'm reenacting it because I feel like body language is so important. It's so important because right there, it was like so much was said. So much was said. How do you respond to that? And it was just like, oh, like that gives us so much information about what's happening for Casimir. Then they give more information, like they're afraid of the fighting, the intensity of the fights, the yelling, the name calling, the drinking. It just becomes to a point where they feel helpless. Okay? It's like he's my best friend. And Casimir's tearful, and I see a little smile come on Alexis' face. And smiling is so important. I know the last couple I mentioned, they smiled a lot too during their session, but it helps. It like really helps us to notice affect and notice what's happening internally when the other person's speaking, or even when they're speaking, like to notice that, oh, this is a really interesting time for you to smile as your partner, your best friend, is saying they feel really helpless when you all in arguments and fighting, and how bad it gets. And you're smiling, taking a sip of this bubbly water. And Alexa said, I really want the anger sometimes. And then that's where the session ends, because that's a really like, ooh, like, whoa, you want the anger, right? There could be so much like response to that. Oh, you see how distressing this is to your partner, and yet you want this anger. And it's like, ooh, what is it about this anger that you like? What, why do you welcome it? Why do you want it here? And I would imagine, like, I don't know fully, but I would imagine a lot of times anger can be such a beautiful protector for the parts of us that are hurting. And if and not to say that anger does not have a huge impact on the people we love, because we see Casimir, like we see the impact, we see it. They're in distress. They are in distress, and it's wearing on the relationship. And Alexis sees anger as a place of power, because it's almost like if Alexis doesn't have the anger, then they shut down and they freeze and can't even answer, right? Alexis could not answer the question about how they dissociate. It's like freeze. Am I allowed to talk? But anger gives Alexis the power to say what he needs to say, to get it out. However, what could it be like if we could have, what would it be like to have some more options? Some more options between the freeze and the anger. Could we have more options? We do. But Alexis feels like those are the only two, because of their experiences, his nervous system, all of that, have taken in messages. They got beliefs. They like, oop, this is the only options. They're still in those spaces where the abuse happened. And these were the only two methods that kept us safe. And so this is the only things I have to offer right now. And it's like, ooh, what if we could do more? What if we could learn more? What could happen if we could do something different? So we shall see. It felt right for me. I was really torn. Part of me was like, start at the beginning from season 1. And then when I watched this season, it just felt so right for me to start at this season, because it felt like even like they were using IFS language almost at the beginning with the baby pictures of everyone and even of the therapist, because as therapists, we have parts too that show up in a session. So felt like it was so important, and want to see how this goes. This will be my first season, reviewing couples therapy. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about where you are seeing these couples, how you're responding to them, where your curiosities lie. And if you are still with us, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, be cool, be calm, be centered. Peace.